Once there was a boy named Ryan who lived in a small village surrounded by fields and dirt roads and cows that always wandered into his backyard. His house was made of old bricks and the roof leaked when it rained, but his dreams were bigger than the sky above. He had no money, no internet, no fancy books, but he had an imagination so powerful that it could build cities in his mind. Every morning before the sun rose, he would walk barefoot to the edge of the fields and stare at the horizon. He told himself, one day I will see the world from the top, not from the ground, not from the dust, but from the sky, where people look down and wonder how someone from nothing made it to everything. Ryan started small. He borrowed a broken radio from his neighbor and fixed it with a nail, a piece of cloth, and a battery he found near the school trash can. The radio played for exactly 10 minutes before dying again, but those 10 minutes were the first time he felt like a creator, not just a dreamer. He started fixing other things: watches, shoes, chairs, anything he could get his hands on. He didn't ask for money at first. He just said, let me try, and if it works you can tell others. Soon people started coming to him with things to repair, and in exchange they brought him food or books or candles for studying at night. He used those books to teach himself about electricity and engines, and one day he took apart his father's broken scooter just to understand how it worked. He laid out every part on the floor, memorized their shape and purpose, then put them back together one by one until the scooter roared like it had never broken. Everyone called him the machine boy, the fixer, the silent genius, but he called himself something else. He called himself Future Rich, because in his mind he already was. He walked like he owned a company, he spoke like he was teaching a class, and he worked like he was building an empire. When he turned 15, he took all the small savings he had hidden under his bed wrapped in cloth and walked 20 kilometers to the nearest town to buy his first set of real tools, not second-hand, not broken, real ones. The shopkeeper laughed and said, "Are you sure these aren't for your father?" Ryan said, "No sir, they are for the man who will one day own a factory." He carried the tools back on his shoulders and started taking on bigger challenges. He began building small generators for homes that had no power. He built one from scraps and wire and a fan motor that powered 3 light bulbs in his neighbor's house. It was the first time that family had light at night. From that day, the village saw him differently. He wasn't just the boy who fixed things, he was the boy who created light. He saved every bit of money he earned, never spending it on sweets or clothes. Instead, he bought copper wire and small motors and books from the town second-hand shop. He started writing in a notebook every idea, every sketch, every plan. He called it his future file, and he guarded it like treasure. One night during a storm, the power went out in the entire village, and people were scared, but Ryan walked into the rain with a torch and a satchel full of tools, and within 2 hours he had connected a series of batteries and wires and powered the community center where the elderly and children had gathered. They called him a hero, but he said, "No, I am just getting started." When he turned 18, he applied for a national invention competition with a small portable generator he built from scrap parts. He traveled to the city for the first time on a bus with cracked windows and worn seats, but he didn't care because he saw only the future. His invention won 3rd place, and a man from the city who owned a tech company came to him and said, "I see a spark in you." Ryan said, "So that spark will become a fire if someone gives it air." The man gave him a scholarship and mentorship and a place in his company. Ryan worked harder than anyone. He stayed after hours, asked questions, and never pretended to know what he didn't understand. He learned, he built, he grew. Within 5 years, he was leading a team of engineers working on renewable energy solutions, and he had started his own side business building affordable solar kits for rural homes. He called it Rise Light Energy, and its mission was simple: no village should be left in the dark. He returned to his village not with luxury cars or gold watches, but with light poles and batteries and solar panels, and in the same field where he once stared at the horizon, he built a small training center for young minds who wanted to learn, who wanted to fix, who wanted to build. And when people asked him, "How did you do it? How did you come from nothing?" he smiled and said, "I never had nothing. I had vision, I had time, I had faith, and I started small, but I always thought big, and even when I had holes in my shoes, I acted like I owned the ground I walked on." This is how Ryan the barefoot boy with a broken radio became Ryan the man who lit up hundreds of homes and heights without waiting for permission, without waiting for the perfect moment, without waiting for the world to believe in him because he believed in himself first. And that is how you win.